I went celibate while I was in a relationship. Let's talk about it. So we're starting off with my eyebrows already done. So let's just get into it. I guess I will start with what caused my decision to want um, to be celibate or to, I guess, go into celibacy, right? So um, it started basically, and I don't want to make this about the person, okay? So it started basically when I was in a relationship for about 3 years. Um, the thing was, the relationship was super toxic, and I hate that word, but it was super toxic and super chaotic. Um, and then on top of that, just very sometimes like verbally abusive. And it's kind of, I'm not gonna say embarrassing because what happened, but yeah, like uber verbally abusive. Like it was insane, okay? So in that time frame of just like, going back and forth, like being in and out, like all of that, I was like, okay, I was feeling empty. So let me just tell you like some of the things like I started to notice. So when we first got together, I never was the type to like really um go out and club and all that jazz. Like I was like really a homebody. And at that time, I was definitely just getting out of a marriage. So to me, when we hooked up and we decided to, let's go on a date, it was like always something, somewhat exciting because I've never experienced that type of, I guess, fun before. So, and so it was exciting. I'm gonna be honest. It was exciting. So in the midst of like going out, then it comes along with all the other things, right? Like drinking and all of that. And I never was heavy on drinking. Never was a heavy drinker at all. I absolutely sometimes, well, I actually hate it. But maybe a glass of wine here and there, a cute little mixed drink, just super simple. Like I never was a big drinker. But the person that I happened to be dating, they were a heavy drinker, like super heavy drinker. And so, you know, a lot of times, like when you come into a new situation, you tend to want to enjoy or get to know what the person likes and enjoys. So you kind of pick up on those habits, right? So I began to drink, when I was in their presence because I wanted to quote unquote be on their level or enjoy them because to me that was like the only time it seemed like he was having fun was when he was drinking. So to get to match his level, I was like, okay, let me, try to just get with it too, right? But, in essence, I began to lose myself. And along with that became like those demons that came out of him when he was intoxicated. And it was hardly any times that I seen this person sober. So yeah, like it started to really get to me. And then on top of that, when it started to become really toxic, really verbally abusive, and I mean it was bad, like super super bad. I started to become depressed, and in that depression, like I was always sad. I gained a lot of weight during the last year or so of us dating, maybe the last 6 months, because it happened so fast. I started to pick up like a lot of weight. I was depressed. I wasn't going anywhere. If I posted pictures of what I looked like then, I hardly even took pictures, but I looked swollen. My health began to like really play with me, like to the point like I had to have a procedure done, a couple of other things that I feel I don't want to mention. But yeah, like my health really started to play with me. So the end of last year, like God was telling me all of 2024, this isn't it. I don't want you in this situation. You got to get out of it. And let me rewind. So at the beginning of 2024, I wanted to take my relationship with God seriously. I began to search him and seek him like never before. So I started to get into my word, I started going to church more. And so at that time with my relationship, like I didn't hang out with him too much. Like I'll go over there and then like my spirit would start to not sit right, right? Like so I will be in his presence and I will be uber uncomfortable and I would just go home. Like I would no longer spend the night. Like I just couldn't get with it anymore. But because, I'm trying to hold on and grasp to that situation, I will like keep coming back. So pause. One thing that I noticed is no one really talks about that struggle between staying and leaving. When you know a situation is like absolutely horrible for you and you just keep going back to it. And then I'm going to throw some word in here in a second. So just give me a moment. um, so I started, like I said, not coming around, staying away. And then, God was like really pulling on me like, hey, girl, you got to go. Like, this isn't for you. I don't want this for you. You're getting beat up on every day, verbally assaulted every day. And it was just like, y'all, I could tell by the way this man answered the phone if we were going to fight that day or not. So yeah. So like I made a decision, like, and I went to him and I'm like, hey, I was like, let me try this. Let me just take, I was feeling convicted. So let me take sex off the table, right? So I go to him and I'm like, hey, I want to no longer engage in sexual activity because I would share with him, the spiritual journey that I was taking at that time. So he knew like the reason why. You know what this man said? He said, oh, I'll wait for you. You're worth waiting for. Girl. Okay. Whatever. So anyways, so I stopped having sex and I just, you know, in that time, I would say it was May. No, it was April of 2024. I stopped having sex, right? I just completely stopped cold turkey, no sex, right? And it was like things just began to get worse. Like I emotionally was just like still feeling, empty. Like I wasn't the person, like I felt like a shell. I didn't feel like, I don't know, like I felt like lost in essence. Like I didn't know where I was coming and going, what I was doing, what was my next step in life. Like I just felt like I was just out here existing. And not only that, like I spent a lot of time like in my room just closed off. Like, and mind you, like I have children, they have special activities. Like I would show up for them, but anything regarding self, I would not show up for myself. I would just kind of like wallow in despair. But I would still go back. And I know that sounds insane. I would still go back, even though I knew the situation was not right for me. I would still go back. So, my sister, she has a podcast called The Spark, Sandra C. Hey, boo. And I was listening to her podcast and she came up. I'm sorry, excuse me. She started to speak about how the people of Israel, when Moses was leading them out of bondage, how they were, very irate. They didn't like the situation. They were disobedient, and all they wanted was manna. And manna really is like it has no nutritional value, right? It's just that's the food that God was providing them to eat while they were in the wilderness. But when things look a little like in distress or hey, what's going on, where's this, where's that, like they felt like their provisions weren't being met, they became angry with God and was like, hey, just give me my manna, right? God was trying to lead them into a land of milk and honey, overflow with milk and honey, where there was abundance. She made a point. She said, that they remained in the wilderness for 40 years, and that travel time literally was like a couple of days. They could have made it to where they were supposed to be. But because they were so focused on what they did not have, and being disobedient and not abiding by what God was speaking to Moses, and Moses was relaying the message to them. Because of that, they remained there for 40 years. Could you imagine having the same meal for 40 years? Like, no, baby, I want my porterhouse steak. Okay, so no, we are getting up out of here, right? So back to me. So, like, I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. This isn't conducive to me. This isn't conducive to my life. This isn't conducive or fair to him, because sure enough, he deserves and needs someone who could, like, hey, if that's the level that he wants to be on, or, he needs someone to match him. Like, I'm holding him up from what he could be doing. And I'm just not that person. I'm very fair about that. So I was like, yeah, let me step back. This is serving me any purpose. I'm not growing here. If anything, it's just leading me in a space of just emptiness. Like, girl, what are you doing? I know y'all, this is ghetto, but I broke the top. So I made the decision to cut it off November. It was like his birthday. He called me. We got in an argument. And like during the argument, I kind of like really just checked out. Like, I stopped talking and just hung up the phone, and I literally never called back. I never said, this is it, it's done. I just literally never called back. So let me tell you, that silence while you're healing is so loud. It is so super loud. And you don't realize that is working out for you, right? So in the moment, because like I said, people always talk about or share their experiences once they got over the valley, right? But not while they're going through the valley. So it was a lot of days, y'all, I spent crying. I spent just laying in my bed. I spent, praying, getting in my word. But like, even that, like, it was like, I'm like, oh my God, I've never been here before, I never been here in a space where, like, okay, you are completely just leaning and depending on God. That's the only conversation that you have most of the day, most of the time, besides the kids and family. Like, I'm not used to this. Like, I have no one to talk to about, like, how my day went, or like new experiences that I had, or, some goals that I had smashed out. Like, it was literally silent. And when I mean silent, y'all, I mean, I'm not entertaining no new person. I'm not going on any dates. I'm not responding to text messages. And mind you, they didn't even call me. Like, once I hung up, no call back. So, like, really silent, and it was uncomfortable. I completely forgot about this out of my face, girl. But it was completely silent. And it was so unusual when so unusual dealing with that, because like I said, I wasn't used to that. And as I got into my word more, like, my dad is a pastor, so I grew up in church. But it's one thing, you hear what thus says the word of God to everyone else, but when it relates back to yourself and you're understanding it, it hits a little different. So I came across the Bible verse, above all else, guard your heart. And I know that sounds like really like black and white. Like, don't just be out here freely loving. But also, as I, studied more and got into it more, I'm like, no, what God is saying is, you know, boundaries. Like, you have to establish boundaries to protect yourself, because it says, the second part of the verse, I'm sorry, everything you do flows from it. Everything you do is out of love, adoration, because of your heart. You have feelings for a person or people, whether it's family, friends, or a lover. Like, everything you do for them is because you love them. So a lot of times, like, those boundaries, you kind of let them kind of set aside to make sure that you are coming through or showing up completely for that person. because you want to make them happy, essentially, right? So, but what happens when you let go of those boundaries and you're loving freely? And so now you're depleted because you're pouring, you're pouring, you're pouring, but nothing's being restored back into you. It's a breakdown, it's an emptiness, it's a shell of a person. It's just distraught, honestly. Um, so I read that Bible verse. I'm sorry, excuse me, and it was like, wow, like it makes sense. Like this absolutely makes sense, and I am like standing on that, like for real. At this point in my life, like absolutely standing on it. So, like I said, days will be dark, days will be silent. It'll be days where you start to feel like, oh, I'm not living life because I'm not outside, quote unquote, or I'm not out drinking, or I'm not traveling, or I'm not, like, I literally did nothing. When I say I sat down, I sat down. And one thing that I would say, you start to realize your worth. That is the biggest lesson that I've learned while being celibate. So for right now, I've been celibate for a year and going on 6 months, right? So the value, right? Your value and your standards and your morals and what you want out of life, you start to be more aware of that, right? And then anything that does not align with that, I let it go. So I began, like I said, to actually understand, like now, like it's coming to me now. Like I'm saying, it's been a year and 6 months. So it's not like hunky dory perfect, right? I'm still processing through everything that I went through. And so I got to a point where I started to kind of hate my decision to walk away. Um, and that's just like all honesty. Like I started to mourn my decision, and nevertheless, I stayed strong. And as I'm right now, I'm studying the book of Ezekiel, right? And Ezekiel is now, the point where Israel, okay, we're just in Jerusalem, we're not listening. We're just gonna do what we're gonna do. We're gonna worship the idols of all the other nations because we want to be like them. We're just gonna do whatever we want to do. We're just gonna forget and neglect the fact that we are God's people. And not only were the people doing it, also the people who were over to govern, like that's the prophets, that's the kings, that's the princes. It's like everybody in leadership, everybody was corrupt. So God was like, okay, that's all right. I'm about to get all of you. That's cool. That's cool. That's good. So in that time, God was talking about, okay, you know what, y'all not listening. So it's time to just, I'm just gonna go ahead and I gotta discipline y'all, right? Let's go ahead and do that. And in that time frame, it's like while they were under attack by Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon, they were seeking to have reinforcements from all people, out of all people, Egypt. Now we all know Egypt had them in bondage. So like, why would you go back or why would you seek refuge with someone that had you in bondage? Like, make that make sense. And so like, I'm like, I get it, because we can we can judge about that, but think about it. Like, how many of us sit in situations, or even like, not if you're just sitting in a situation thinking about it, contemplating it, letting it like live in your brain, like it's a constant memory that you won't allow yourself to escape. How many of us like can actually admit, hey, I've done that? Like, and it's had you in bondage for longer than it should have, right? And so like, I literally, like, while I'm studying this, like, this is recent, y'all. This isn't nothing like that happened months back. This is like recent. I got down like on my knees and like, God, this will no longer be a part of my story. This will no longer be a part of my conversation. I give it over to you. I commit it to you. I'm going to let that go, because I don't want to be like them. It got to the point where they were completely destroyed. God wiped them out. But the other side of it, God not only wiped them out, he wiped out all their enemies. So God be doing his big one, okay, for his people. But he completely disciplined them. He took away everything, literally everything. And I don't want it to be like that. Like, no, I don't want God to be warning me and instructing me and leading me and guiding me, but I keep wanting to go do something else because I feel like I'm empty because I am not attached to someone. Let me go run back over here. I don't want to live life like that. Or not just run back over here. Let me just go connect with anybody, somebody, anybody. I don't want to act like that. I want what God has set up for me. I want my forever, right? And what happened during this process, you never know how much you neglected yourself until you start back taking care of yourself. So you never know how much you neglected yourself until you start back taking care of yourself. And guys, like I said, I had gained, like, I think when I went to the doctor, this was December of last year, I literally was almost 300 pounds. And I had never, ever in my life weighed anywhere near 300 pounds. And that's me being completely transparent, right? And I was like, when I went to doctor, I was shocked. I was so upset that I allowed myself to get that way. But hey, I just started to, oops, got some in my hair. I made it a point to no, let's work on this. So working out more, eating right, working with a dietitian and a weight loss doctor, even down to doing things like keeping up with my dentist appointments and going to the eye doctor and my primary care doctor, just all the things like that I kind of let fall to the wayside, and just like starting to tend to like how I present myself to the public and to the world. Because girl, let me tell you, it was days where I literally would be outside, y'all. And if you know me, if you know me personally, or been following me on social media, I have always been like a fashion girly, right? I love to look beautiful. I love clothes. I love jewelry. I love makeup. Like, I love all the cute little things, right? That's just my aesthetic. Baby, when I say I was out here in sweatpants and a top knot bun, baby, and it's not the cute athleisure look, y'all. I was looking rough for months. I would do the bare minimum. That means shower, brush my teeth. I mean, no skincare, no makeup, no maintenance. Like, literally, that's about all I would do. And brush my hair up in a bun and throw on some sweatpants or some leggings and a big t-shirt and eat. Like, I would layer around and eat. So, like, even down to like my diet, like being mindful of what I'm intaking in my body. And I also stopped drinking. So I no longer drink. So if I go out, I'll go get a mocktail or something like that. But I don't drink at all. So because I care about my temple, I care about my body. And this is what God has blessed me with. So I got to take care of it. And that's the thing. Like, and I'm not saying like, my go after or go to is, oh, I want to be a wife. Like, yes, that's something I desire, but at the same time, I'm trying to be a full person for myself first. But yeah, like, if you are thinking about a mate, you want your mate to carry themselves a certain way or conduct themselves a certain way, well, then you need to be the woman that you would kind of want your mate to be, right? Or the man, or vice versa. You need to reflect what you want in a mate. So yeah, so I have just been really working on just maintaining myself, um, my relationship with God. And like I said, with that, like, there is no way like I can allow myself, after I'm fighting through it, went through it, like had to go through it. And it's just now like starting to look up. And mind you, this was in November of last year. Like I said, I'm still going through it, but it is also so rewarding. And I feel so blessed and I feel so happy. I have joy, I have peace. Like, recognizing like that silence isn't boredom, or that you're missing out on life, or that you're not doing anything. It's literal peace, peace of mind. Like, your heart is peaceful. Like, I'm not arguing with anybody. I am not answering to um some fable story that someone came up with in their head just to start an argument. Like, it's just ultimately just peace. And how we don't even recognize that when you've been through like so much chaos, like in a situation or in life, period, you don't understand what peace really means. We take peace as boredom. Isn't that insane? We take peace as boredom. And that's why people say, like, be mindful of who you date, like people's past, like how they grew up. And they used to not mean too much to me, but it makes sense, because if a person is raised off of survival, or they come from a family where like it's a really toxic background, and they're used to arguing, and used to being raised like robbing Peter to pay Paul, like all of that, y'all, it plays a major part on how they conduct themselves as an adult and how they handle themselves in relationships. So you have to definitely be mindful about that. And I'm not saying you can't heal from that, because it just takes to have the emotional intelligence to know, like, hey, that's something I need to work on to get that out of my system also, so I don't transfer that down to my generation. You definitely have to watch out for that. And if you are raised in like an environment like that, because I wasn't, saying like I was raised a perfect way, because there's things that are traits or habits, I'm sorry, that I picked up on from, parents, and seeing how they handle themselves and conduct their relationships, that, I'm learning to like purge from me, like right now in this time. Like, I'm 39 years old, going on 40. And I used to beat myself up about that, because like, dang girl, you too old to just be figuring stuff out. But hey, that's life. I'm on my own path. I'm on my own journey, as is, everyone else. So yeah, there's habits that I definitely notice now that I am, in my word and praying and have that relationship with God, that is like, hey, I don't think that's the best way to handle that. Or I don't think that's a healthy thing, to conduct yourself like that. So yeah, like, it's always like a growing process. That's one thing that I did definitely realize. But yeah, just recognizing that silence is peaceful, getting up, going to work, going to work out, going to your kids' events, doing things with your kids, cooking dinner, um, going for, like I said, going out for a nice walk, going to dinner by yourself. I've done that multiple times, and I absolutely enjoy it. Actually, when you go to dinner by yourself, a couple of times someone picked up my tickets, though. Hello, excuse me. Y'all better get into it. So yeah, just learning to enjoy and love you, because if no one's gonna love you like, I'm not gonna say no one's gonna love you like you love yourself, because I don't think that's realistic. What I'm gonna say is, the way you love yourself teaches people how to treat you, right? So why not, give myself the best? Why not operate in peace? Just like, why not? Like, it's so rewarding. And then the blessings that come out of obeying, I'm so obedient. The blessings, hello, that come out of obeying God. So many. Like, financially, things have been so much better. I'm learning how to, handle just being alone. Like, rather than being in a relationship where you're covering for someone financially, like, it feels so much better just taking care of you and yours, and that's it, you know and like, yeah. Just worrying about treating myself and treating the kids, and just being fun and light and airy, and I can breathe, and I'm not stuffy, and I'm just, they see their mom happy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Your kids, like, whether you feel like you're well, how can I say this, you're kind of like masking or shading them from certain life experiences, they can pick up on your vibe. They can tell, like, okay, well, when mom is with this person, she's like this, or when she's without that person, she's like this, and this is how she handles it. They pick up on that. And there is no way, because I have a daughter, and I had this conversation with some of my friend girls the other day, and I was like, your daughter, the fact that you have a daughter literally is like a direct reflection on how you are as a woman. All your little habits, your emotional stability, like all of that, them girls pick up on it. And there's no way, you can get up and be like, hey, where'd you get that from? Baby girl, she got it from you. Like, and I'm not saying like they're not their own individuals, because some stuff like, yeah, girl, I don't know where they came from. But for the most part, they handle and conduct themselves much like you. So just being mindful of how I am, not just around her, but outside of her. Because, hey, I live in a small city, and your reputation, all of that, it circles back around. Like, these kids are growing up. My oldest is 20, my youngest is 14. They're on social media. They pick up on, a lot of things. They see a lot of things. And there's no way I want to be that mother to be out here embarrassing them. So, yeah, I definitely have to be mindful about that. So, yeah, the celibacy, um, right now, like, it's for me, it's awesome. It was very hard in the beginning. um, if you ever were a sexually active person, that is a habit that is definitely hard to break. But let me tell y'all, it's so rewarding. And why not, you know, just learn, like it teaches you so many lessons about valuing self. So like, why not? That's where I got to the point. It got to the point where I was so low, I had to discover that. And I thank God for that. I thank God for the valley. I thank God for like all the trials, because it teaches you how to appreciate not only him above everything, but also appreciate yourself more, and value yourself more, and love yourself more. It teaches you so much. So like, why not take that chance and just, you know, learn yourself, love on yourself, ask for more, value, like, and not ask, require, more, you know, above all else, above all else, guard your heart, because everything, everything you do flows from it. Okay, ladies, so this is the finished look right here. I'm going to finish getting ready for church, and I just want to leave y'all with my favorite statement of the day is pray for someone else other than yourself. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you guys like this sit down, like get ready with me, just let me know. We'll just go along with it. So you guys be blessed and have a lovely day. Bye.